What is up, everybody? Welcome to the AEW All In 2025 review and reaction show. It's your girl, Denise Salcedo, and after a very long show, we are here to finally get into All In. Now, the things that went down on the show, especially in the closing of the show, is exactly what I wanted to see for All In. I had hoped that Hangman Page would close out the show carrying that AEW World Championship, and we did see that. So freaking happy about that. I was hoping that we would see the return of Darby Allin. We saw that. And I also was pretty much predicting, okay, we're going to get like a bunch of, run-ins and whatnot. Like, this isn't going to be a straightforward match. Like, we're going to get a lot that goes down here. And that is exactly what went down on All In. So I actually want to kick off this review show getting in with the main event, because the main event ended up being my favorite thing of the night. It was violent. It was exciting. I was very, very entertained by what we saw. So, dude, Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley, within like 5 or 7 minutes of this match, were already busted open. Jon Moxley got stabbed in the forehead with a fork multiple times and was just exploding and gushing out tons of freaking blood. Throughout this entire match, we saw some sick spots. We saw them, Jon Moxley wrapped barbed wire all around Hangman Page's face. We saw the barbed wire table on the outside. We saw Jon Moxley get put through 2 chairs that were set up so that he got like the edges of the chairs on his spinal cord. So it was very brutal to see that. We ended up seeing Marina Shafir get put through a table after she had been biting Hangman Page. And I think at this point, everything that we've been seeing from Hangman Page and Marina Shafir booked this damn match. All right, we've seen her take a buckshot lariat. We saw her get put through a table. We saw her slap the hell out of Hangman at one point, and that was on Dynamite too. So what I'm saying is there's a lot that's gone down here with Hangman and Marina Shafir. That's a real feud right there. We saw Prince Nana get involved during this. When Marina Shafir was called to bring the championship to Jon Moxley, Prince Nana was in the bottom of the table and ended up handcuffing Marina Shafir to the actual table. So we get that. And Jesus Christ, I'm trying to think of everything. We got a bed of nails that we ended up seeing Jon Moxley be put through, which was just dramatic. We saw the use of glass multiple times. Both Hangman and Jon Moxley went through the glass multiple times on their head, on their back. So much violence in this. And it was good, though. There were a couple of moments where I thought, hey, maybe the setup could have been a little bit better to some of these spots, but it really wasn't enough for me to say that it took me out of the match. I thought that the match was exactly what I needed it to be in terms of the violence. But now we got to get into the portion of it that included all of everybody out. So throughout this match, we saw Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, the Death Riders were basically getting involved throughout this entire match. At one point, even the Young Bucks came out. So early on, the first person to come out and try to help out Hangman was Will Ospreay. And we knew this, Will Ospreay and him, they're good. They're on good terms. We were expecting this for him to go out there. And unfortunately, he gets taken out and pillmanized by Claudio Castagnoli. F you, Claudio, you're now officially on my hate list for doing that to the best wrestler on that show, Will Ospreay. How dare you, Claudio? So then after that, we ended up seeing, okay, who was afterwards? Okay, we ended up seeing a video of Darby Allin pop up on the screen, and we saw his Mount Everest video. And here's what's cool. Here's what's cool about this. So if you watch my interview with Sting mentioned that he got a video from Darby Allin that basically showed the entire Mount Everest and him being at the top. That is the video that ended up playing and distracting Jon Moxley. And so we're all thinking, oh shit, like Darby Allin's about to come out. But then someone comes out with a mask and it ends up being Bryan Danielson. So Bryan Danielson ends up being the one to go after Moxley from there. And after that, I'm thinking like, oh shit, like I wasn't expecting Bryan Danielson, especially Bryan with his neck issues. You don't really know what he can or cannot do. So I wasn't expecting Bryan Danielson. Like Bryan Danielson was a legitimate surprise to me. So I was very happy to see his involvement here at All In. And then finally, we did end up getting Darby. But here's the thing. We didn't just get Darby's music and he runs out there. No, it was him coming from the rafters at the very, very top of Globe Life Field. And they zoomed out. They did this shot where they zoomed out. And, oh, dude, he was freaking sky high. He was sky high at the top and gets brought down. And it was just freaking, it was cool. It's cool to think. I liked the, obviously we know that he does that, after everything with him and Sting, right? But what also was kind of cool was that we climbed Mount Everest and then we saw him descend. So descend and make his arrival to AEW. So I feel like that, like the symbolism of that was pretty freaking cool, right? It was almost like it meant more than just, the association with Sting, right? It was more than that. It meant a little bit more this time since the guy climbed Mount Everest. And so he goes out there, tries to help out Hangman Page, takes out all of these other guys with the coffin drop. And the way he hit the coffin drop, you can tell he had been so excited to do a coffin drop. I don't know when he probably did the last coffin drop, but the last coffin drop in the ring. So I was losing my shit when Darby went out there. I was so stoked about that. And then finally, the moment kept happening. There was still everybody that was out there, the Death Riders, the Bucks, all of that. Will ended up getting stretchered out. So then we finally got Swerve. Swerve went out there with that same chain that we saw Hangman give him over at Collision. So they had like a whole 5-6 minute promo that they did, and they were, kind of seeing a little bit more eye to eye, where even Swerve mentioned that he had regretted some of his actions on Hangman Adam Page. And so Swerve ended up using that same chain, took out the Bucks for that, and threw the chain in to Jon Moxley. And the ending of this match was crazy because Hangman ended up getting Jon, like choking him out with the chain on the ropes. He's hanging out. Jon Moxley's doing this freaky shit where he's like twitching and shit, right? Like twitching. It's awful. It looks horrible, right? Like, it's scary. It's terrifying. And so he ends up like going out, and Hangman Page takes the win. And it was such an awesome moment to see Hangman win. But also the moment that got me was when he got the briefcase with the AEW World Championship, and he had to get the key, and he kind of struggled a little bit to like try to open the briefcase, and I started to panic. I'm like, bro, did he open it? And then at one point I see him like sit up and he's crying, and that's the moment that he opens up the briefcase, and there it is, the AEW World Championship. And it felt like this big reveal because we hadn't seen this AEW World title in months. So the moment when Hangman was crying after everything he's been through, and then to finally hold that AEW World Championship right above his head, this was the ending that I wanted to see for All In. It was the ending that we got, and I thought this match, it was my favorite match of the night. And even though it wasn't like those technical matches that I normally like, or it wasn't, Spafu or anything like that, this was more on the violent and bloody side. What I liked about it was just all of the moments, Darby Allin, Bryan Danielson, and then of course Hangman actually winning, Swerve going out there and helping him out, and Will Ospreay, even though he was, eliminated from this equation very early on, it had to be that way because Will has a big role to play into all of this. He's the guy that was trying to make amends between between Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. He was the one that was trying to get them to be on the same page. He was the one that was trying to talk some sense into Swerve and saying, hey man, like we need to help out Hangman Page. He's the guy. I'm not the guy right now. You're not the guy. He's the guy. And we need to help him out. And Swerve finally saw that in order to end all of the shenanigans, all of the bullshit that's been going on with the Death Riders, it meant that he had to help out somebody that he absolutely at one point despised. And so seeing the way that all of those strings tied together was something that I genuinely liked. I love that at the closing of the show, they also mentioned that we are going into a new era for AEW, for Hangman Page, his era, and it could not be more true. I feel that Hangman Page is the guy that is going to get AEW like really back into a groove, back into a rhythm. You got Darby Allin back. You still got Swerve. You got Will. You got so many other people. I feel like there's just an endless there's an endless amount of possible outcomes and matches and things that we can see with Hangman Page as AEW World Champion. So I just got to say, I loved the closing of AEW All In with that matchup. All right, we got a super chat here from Roberto Arsenal. Roberto, thank you so much. Roberto says, I'm happy that Swerve and Ospreay won, and we don't have to wait a full year for them to challenge for the world title. Athena winning was great. Yeah, dude, like there was no way that the Young Bucks were going to defeat Swerve and Ospreay and then get them out of the title scene for however long. No effing way. That would have been some BS right there. So I'm glad that they didn't do any of that. But now that you mention it, let's talk about this match. The Young Bucks, Swerve, Ospreay. So this was the match. Now, I got to mention something before I get into that matchup. There were some weird moments throughout the show. I'm going to be real with you guys. The Texas audience, it took them a second to kind of really get into certain moments of the show. There were certain moments that the crowd was just in it and some moments where they were not. There were some moments where it felt like they were disconnected or like they were waiting for something. But I should also mention that there was some very heartbreaking news that occurred on AEW All In today. And that ties me into Adam Cole. So Adam Cole, and before AEW All In started, it was an announcement on social media that Adam Cole was out. And they didn't really give any details, although other than he was out, the match with him and Kyle Fletcher was not going to happen. And instead, it was going to be a fatal four-way, right? And so I was not really expecting, look, I really thought, okay, Adam Cole's injured. He's probably going to be out for a few weeks to a couple of months, depending on what the injury is. I don't know, right? That was my assumption. But then Adam Cole goes out there and takes the microphone, and I thought, oh, when he went out there, I actually thought first that he was going to do commentary. I thought, oh, maybe he's going to do commentary, right? He can't wrestle. So, you know what? At least take part in All In as, commentary, right? Especially because he had to vacate the title. So that's what I initially thought. Then he got into the ring and I thought, okay, maybe he's just going to formally announce, hey, I'm vacating the title and it's because I'm injured, blah, blah, blah. Thank you guys so much. Whatever. I will be back, blah, blah, blah. That's what I was expecting was going to go down. But then Adam Cole surprised us when he basically said, now let me preface this by saying he didn't even use the words injured, by the way. He used the words health issues. He says he's had some health issues. I don't know if any additional details have came out since then. In fact, Sven Big says Hangman is on the scrum, so maybe some additional details will come out there. I would hope so because he's I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. Sven Big with Hangman. Not talking about Adam Cole right now. Apologies. My brain kind of glitched right now. I was just thinking like blonde-haired man right now at the moment. Anyways, but no, I do hope that Adam Cole, by the way, does come out on the, I don't think he will, but if he did, it would be great because we would get to hear more, but I don't think so. Especially if they already have Hangman out there, then it'll basically close off with Hangman and then probably Tony Khan for the media scrum. Anyway, scratch that, rewind. So back to what I was saying about Adam Cole. So Adam Cole doesn't actually mention that, he's injured. He just says that he has some health issues, right? So we really can't be sure. Again, I don't know if much else has came out since then, since I've been streaming the entire time. And so Hangman, sorry, I keep saying Hangman. Jesus, Hangman's on my mind right now. Adam Cole then gets very emotional and he begins to cry. And this is like, okay, what is happening right now? And then he suddenly says that he doesn't know if this is the last time that he's going to basically be out here. He doesn't know if he's done, if this means that he's going to be retired. He does not know. And the fact that he mentioned the word retired, that's what got me going, what? We're talking about retirement now? Like, I thought this was just an injury thing. I wasn't expecting him to bring out retirement. I wasn't expecting him to get as emotional as he did. And the fact that he got as emotional as he did made me think like, okay, there's more of a severity here than we initially intended. So I am basically I was heartbroken. And I think everybody here watching that was heartbroken because we always talk about wrestlers and going out on your own terms. That's the way to go about it, right? That's the way to go about it, going out on your own terms. And when it doesn't happen like that, it just sucks, man. It sucks. You never want to see somebody not go out on their own terms. And especially when you're Adam Cole and when you're so young and you've already been through hell and back just to be back into the ring. And so it just really sucks, man. It really, really sucks. I feel terrible for Adam Cole. I feel bad that he found himself in a situation where he thought he was going to be back. He thought he was going to be ready to go. And then he ended up in a position where who knows what happened, right? Because we still don't have all of the details for that. So after he made that announcement, it kind of sombered out the crowd. The crowd at All In kind of lost that, hey, we're all at All In kind of energy. They lost it. Everybody was kind of sad. Even with the fatal with the four-way match, they struggled to get into that. And even with the big moment with Dustin winning, which I'll get to in just a second, all of that, it was hard for them to get back into the show. And I hope we find out some more details of Adam Cole, because then maybe we can understand, hey, is he really done or is he not really done? Like, what's going to happen here? But it sounds to me like if they didn't specify, it sounds to me like maybe there's just more that they just, I don't know, haven't said. I don't know. I really, truly don't know. So I'm wishing Adam Cole the very best, and hopefully it's not a clause for him to be unhealthy, and hopefully it's not a situation where he has to retire. Hopefully and even then, I guess, even then the pro wrestling is second. First and foremost, it's the health. It's him being able to live a good life. And then second, it's the wrestling. Second is wrestling. So anyways, that took the whole crowd out. Now, I mentioned all of this before I got into the Young Bucks and Swerve and Will, because Young Bucks, Swerve, and Will was the match that finally got people back into the show. That was the match where suddenly we got to see the crowd go, okay, you know what? We're at All In. Let's have a good time. Let's bring out some more energy. And then from that point on, we got to see more of an energy from the crowd. So now so with the actual match with Swerve and Will and the Bucks, one of the moments that I absolutely loved during this was another callback, because if you guys recall, Will Ospreay had taken the bullet for Swerve Strickland on an episode of Dynamite where the Bucks had gone for a BTE trigger on Swerve, right? Like they were aiming for it, but Will ended up taking the bullet, right? And so this time Swerve returned the favor and he ended up being the one to take the bullet for Will Ospreay. So I love little things like that made it really fun. There was a moment where both guys did double styles clashes. I thought that was cool. There was some really great sequences in this. So you know how the Bucks work. You know how Swerve and Will work. So we got to see a whole lot of that. This was my second favorite match of the night. It was almost going to be my first. Almost, but the main event won it with all of the additional moments and things that went down right there. So that was really, really cool. Now, I do want to go ahead and kind of rewind to the beginning of the show because I feel like that's the best way to go in order of what actually went down to kind of explain to you guys how the pacing of this show went and how it impacted or didn't impact the show. So we kicked off with the Ops versus the Death Riders. And this match, it was interesting because when this match came out, this match opened up the show. I really thought, like, okay, this is going to be a good way to kick off the show. The best way to open any show is with a hot match, right? A nice, fast paced, high energy kind of matchup. And I thought this would meet that. I don't think this match met the same high energy that an opening match should. I thought this kind of had like second, third match on the card energy because there was a moment during this matchup, just like midways, where I kind of felt like I was watching like any ordinary tag team match. So I thought, even though there were some fun moments in this matchup, I didn't think it met the energy of what an opening match should on a pay-per-view like this. But regardless, still had a good time with it. And the Ops retained, which yay, happy. And then I also figured that part of the reason that they had this match open up the night was because the Death Riders would be involved later on in the main event. So that kind of makes sense as to why they ended up doing that. We got Joe Compton here. DWO for 7 months says, 7 months and no end in sight. Love my DWO family. Joe, you're the man. Thank you so much for being part of the DWO Nation now for 7 months. Very, very cool. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and get into the Casino Gauntlet match for a future AEW World Championship match. So this was freaking cool. I loved this match. I kind of felt like the crowd was into this, by the way, or maybe I was so into it that I didn't even notice the crowd during this. I was just really excited about the entrance and what we ended up seeing. So we got Mark Briscoe, MJF, Ricochet, Bandito, Kenosuke Takeshita. We also got Mystico, Josh Alexander, Anthony Bowens, Roger Strong, Brody King, Juice Robinson, returning Juice Robinson, who looked extremely different without the facial hair, Kota Ibushi, the Beast Mortos, and Max Caster. Now, more than half of this match are all guys that I'm like a really big fan of. So I loved this match. I think it was my, I'm ranking it right below, Jesus, because I also love the women's match. How did I have this earlier? I think it was the main event was number 1 for me, followed by the tag team match, followed by Mercedes and Tony, followed by the men's Casino Gauntlet. So it was very high up there for me. But what I loved in particular, by the way, MJF got the win. But what I loved about this match was more so the people that we saw working with each other, because we got little bits and pieces and teases of certain people. It was so cool to see, you know, I heard that Bandito and Kenosuke Takeshita had a really great match. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was great. And even just getting that little tiny moment of Bandito and Takeshita, that was so much fun. I thought Kota Ibushi we had the Beast Mortos mixing it up in there with, I think it was with Kota. Like, there was just all of these people that you thought, okay, I really want to see these matches now, either some that we have seen, some that we haven't seen in a while, or some that we want to see. And I think that's what made this match cool. What made this match cool was all of those interactions that we saw there with these guys. Brody King was absolutely killing it during this, man. Like, he went out there and had such a great performance. I thought he stood out to me. Beast Morto stood out to me during this. Mystico was awesome too. And Takeshita, dude, he brought his A game too. I feel like they all did. And even when MJF won, I was a little bit sad because I was so into the match that I almost didn't want it to end. And it was like a good 30 or so minutes, I think. And just the element and the format of the match, not knowing who was going to be in it, it was fun. It was a fun matchup. So I got to give it its thumbs up for it. We got Anthony Giuliano here who says, how have you been, Denise? Missed you and your reviews. Did you see Seth Rollins' injury is for real? They ended the match quick with LA Knight winning. I did see that. I will probably I'm going to do a separate review for Saturday night's main event once I watch the entire thing, because as of this video, I've only watched the last 2 matches. I was tremendously surprised by what happened with Seth Rollins and LA Knight. Like, I first thought that it was a work. I was confused. And then when I saw how LA Knight won, I was totally shocked when that went down. I hope that I haven't gone on to see what's been put out there just yet for Seth Rollins, but I hope that I almost hope that it was a work, but I doubt it based off how things ended, and yeah, it was just I really don't want it to be a situation where Seth Rollins is hurt, because he's got his hand in a bunch of cookie jars and is just part of a lot of stuff. Thank you, Anthony. So, additionally, let's see where I left off with AEW. So MJF gets the win, and now that we know Hangman is the champion, well, hey, MJF is the number 1 contender. So we should be getting some good stuff right then and there. Like, this is what I mean about Hangman being champion. This is going to open up the doors to a lot of possibilities and a lot of cool matches. So I'm really, really glad about that. Now, I want to hop into the 4-way match for the AEW TNT Championship. So this was a match that I was mentioning earlier that was supposed to be Kyle Fletcher versus Adam Cole. But unfortunately, due to Adam Cole having to vacate the title for health purposes, and this ended up becoming a 4-way. So it ended up being Dustin Rhodes versus Daniel Garcia versus Kyle Fletcher versus Sammy Guevara. Now, going into this All In show, I thought, okay, Kyle Fletcher is defeating Adam Cole. Like, he's bound to be the new TNT champion. He's been a rising star on AEW. You guys know this. I'm a big fan of Kyle Fletcher, and it feels like he's going to be one of the future guys for AEW. So I was going into this thinking, all right, he's going to defeat Adam Cole. He's going to win the match. He's going to have his moment. Cool. Let's move on from there. It's going to be great. And then when it ended up being the 4-way and everything that went down, first of all, the crowd had a really hard time getting into this match. Like, these guys, they really, really tried. They went out there. They did their damn finest. At one point, the crowd they did get invested, but for the most part, I think they were really sad during this matchup. Like, people were trying to get into a positive mood, but I think the Adam Cole stuff really, really impacted the crowd, and I don't blame them. It was like, you got this horrible news. It was very, very sad to see, and then suddenly we got to jump into this match, right, for the title of the guy who just had to vacate it for serious reasons. And the match was fine. Like, they were good. Like, Kyle Fletcher unfortunately took 3 shots to the nuts, which was the biggest thing that I remember in this. Sammy was working. Sammy's a high flyer. Dude comes up with some crazy moments. So he definitely had a bit there. But Dustin Rhodes ended up getting the win in this match. And let me tell you, my initial reaction was, what? What do you mean Dustin Rhodes won this? Like, this was Kyle Fletcher's moment. I love Dustin Rhodes, but this is Kyle Fletcher's moment is what I was thinking. But then when I saw Dustin like crying, and they reminded us like, hey, we're in Texas, I'm like, oh shit, obviously you want to be supportive of that. And so seeing the emotion that he felt and how he felt winning the TNT championship, I couldn't help but to applaud Dustin Rhodes in that moment. But I was thinking, what the hell? This was Kyle Fletcher's moment. So clearly, when it was Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher, Dustin Rhodes was not in the books to win this. And Dustin Rhodes ended up winning. So I'm wondering if, when it was supposed to be Kyle versus Adam, if Adam was supposed to retain or if Kyle was supposed to win in this match. Because if Kyle was supposed to win when it was supposed to be him versus Adam Cole and then he didn't, I do kind of feel bad for Kyle Fletcher if he was supposed to win this match, but then they decided to make the pivot, the change, so that it wouldn't be as predictable just having Kyle Fletcher win, which I do kind of like that it was unpredictable, but at the same time, dude, I was still expecting it to be Kyle Fletcher. So there's a whole lot in there that has me just wondering what the original plan was for Adam Cole and Kyle Fletcher. And, all right, we already spoke about the Will and Swerve match with the Bucks. So I'm going to get into Athena winning the women's casino gauntlet match. So similar to how I felt about the men, I felt the same way about the women. A fun match where we saw a lot of them interact with each other. one of the things that somebody pointed out, and this was exactly how I felt, was that we really got to see the depth of the women's division for AEW. Now, granted, we talk a whole lot about the women. We know that they're very talented. We already know all that. But when you throw them all out there, all in one go in one ring, you really, really start to see it a whole lot more. It's just accentuated further. So we got to see Chris Statlander, Megan Bayne, Willow Nightingale, Ty Mello, Thekla, Julia Hart, Queen Aminata, Mina Shirakawa, Athena, Thunder Rosa, Shuri, Alex Windsor. And mind you, we also saw Sky Blue, who was out there with Julia, and Penelope Ford, who was out there with Megan Bayne. So there was just a lot of women out there. But my favorite parts, God, there were so many. I'm trying to recall them all here. I did not take any notes. The reaction for Athena was tremendous when she ran out there and she just basically like went in and took everybody out. I thought that Mina and Shuri, they did a phenomenal job together too. Basically, anytime Mina was in there, I just thought she was killing it. I'm trying to think what else I really enjoyed in this matchup here. Willow, she was on fire, man. Same thing with her, doing the pounds, doing her thing. Ty Mello looked good. She's looked good ever since her return. Julia Hart also got a really great reaction. It was kind of funny. Oh, I did feel bad for Mina during this match because Sky Blue had gotten involved in this matchup, but she wasn't even in it. So then Mina Shirakawa got Sky Blue to tap out, but then the referee was like, no, like she's not in this match. And so poor Mina thought she won this match and then actually didn't. So I kind of felt bad for her on that end. I love the prowess of seeing Chris Statlander and Megan Bayne. Oh, Willow and Chris Statlander, they had a moment during this matchup too, which was great because, you know, they have their whole history together. So that was another moment. Loved Alex Windsor, getting to see her. She's, you know, all elite. So that was another one. Queen Aminata and Thekla sort of revisiting a little bit of what they've had people talking about their exchanges. Thunder Rosa was also out there, but in the end, Athena won. Now, here's the funny part. When Athena won, I think a lot of people were thinking, oh, hey, now this really means Mercedes Moné is going to defeat Timeless Toni Storm. But, well, let's get to that match now. Timeless Toni Storm defeated Mercedes Moné. She defeated Mercedes, and this match was beautifully done, everyone. It was beautifully done. And I think we should have known that Mercedes was going to lose here, especially with the layout and the format of this match, because Mercedes had the upper hand on Toni Storm for the majority of this match. For the majority of this match, this was Mercedes Moné looking her very, very best. And Toni Storm, the way that she looked in this match was Mercedes did absolutely everything to keep her down, but Toni Storm would not stay down. And even just, this match, I'm just trying to think of everything that they did here. It was just very, very well done, like a very well done matchup. The whole entire time, I felt it felt so important. That's the way that I gotta word this. It felt important. It was one of those matches where you gotta lock in, you gotta pay attention because you know that they're gonna do some good stuff here. And I think that was, for me, what this match felt like. It felt important. Loved the entrances too. Toni Storm with the gear, Toni Storm with the black and white gear, the red lipstick that almost had like the Joker vibes. She did the Willy Wonka thing at the entrance where she fakes walking in a cane and the whole thing. That was very fun. I mean, the whole thing was beautiful to watch. And when Mercedes lost, I kind of felt like it was the right decision to go. And again, earlier when we were thinking Athena won, we really thought it was a shoe-in for her and Mercedes to run back Athena and Mercedes part 2. But instead, we're gonna see Athena and Toni Storm, and that should be a hard-hitting match within itself right there. So just a lot of really good stuff that went down with it. We got Anthony Giuliano here who says, loved your interview with Toni. Did you enjoy dinner with Toni? Toni was freaking great, guys. She was freaking great. She was so nice, so fun. She was so game for doing Never Have I Ever. I had told her ahead of time that, hey, that this was an idea that I wanted to do, and she was down for it. So we did the Never Have I Ever. It ended up going viral, and that was really epic. Really cool to see shit like that happen. So I was happy about that. But yeah, it was fun. She was so easy to talk to and so much fun. And she just gets it, man. She comes up with things on the whim that are funny, that make sense to her character, and get people to react. So she knows what she's doing inside and out. Anthony, thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for the super chat. So, let's see, where are we at now? I did skip over the AEW World Tag Team Championship match. This was the Hurt Syndicate successfully defeating Jet Speed and the Patriarchy. I wasn't that crazy about this match. I kind of wish that it wasn't even, I'm going to be real with you, it wouldn't have made a difference to me if this match wasn't on the card. I just didn't think it was that great. The only thing that was really noteworthy was Nick Wayne turning on Christian Cage. That was the best part. But everything else, like I thought the match was going to be a lot better. I really, really did. And it kind of just ended up being and just being Hurt Syndicate hurting everybody, which is in their theme song. They hurt people. But it really wasn't a top match for me. And last but not least, we need to get into Okada versus Kenny Omega. I was surprised by Kenny Omega losing this match. I think in my head, I had Kenny Omega winning this matchup from the very beginning. However, instantly the second that Okada won, everybody was bringing up the fact that, hey man, at least this ties up their series now. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a really great point to make. So, and maybe it was already the writing on the walls that Okada was going to win this if you wanted to tie that series up. But I think part of me wanted to see Kenny Omega win because I haven't necessarily been too in love with what Okada has been doing on AEW. And I kind of wanted to see Kenny Omega be the one to take that title and start really working and doing and getting the matches under his belt and all of that. I guess I want to see that series unfold more than continuing the journey right now with Okada. So even though Okada has had some good moments here and there, just overall, I haven't been too in love with it every week. It's one of those things where every week you never know what you're going to get, right? But when he has a match, they're fine, but you don't really have them that often either. So that was another reason that I was kind of ready to move on and have Kenny Omega as champion. And so but now at least, who knows, maybe Takeshita will be the one to take the title off Okada. I would love that, by the way. If we did Takeshita and Okada and Takeshita was the one who took the title away from Okada, I would love that. So let's put that in the books. The match itself, I don't think it was, anywhere to the caliber of their first matches, but regardless, I thought this was still a good match. I saw some people that didn't really like it. So I guess it really depends on your style. I hope you guys weren't expecting, what you had originally seen with Okada and Kenny, because it wasn't that. But I didn't think it was a bad match. I didn't think it was terrible. I would be crazy to say any of that. So that's where we're at. Okada is now the unified champion. So he's the AEW unified champion. I don't know why I had to say that twice. All right. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else I missed on this show, but no, that was basically AEW All In 2025. I think that I think that as a show as a whole, though, I don't think it was my favorite show for AEW this year. I still think I preferred Double or Nothing. I still think Double or Nothing was better as a whole, top to bottom. I also did think that the last two All-Ins that were held at Wembley Stadium were both better than this All In. So again, even though there were moments that I loved during this and matches that I loved, it wasn't one of my favorite episodes of All In or editions of All In. But I did really enjoy Hangman Page winning. So that was really the big thing. We got Joe Compton here who says, are there any future plans for another virtual meeting and greet with the DWO family? If so, I look forward to it. Joe, I'm definitely planning on doing something like that. I think when the schedule kind of dies down a little bit, only because July has been so crazy. But August is a little crazy too. But so I'm hoping once we kind of get into the fall season, it'll be a lot easier for me to do that. But I really want to, because I've had the best times doing that, and getting to chat with everybody has just made it all feel more real to have these conversations with everybody in person, because now I know what you guys look like and I can put two and two together when I'm listening to you guys, when I'm reading your comments. I can put a face to the name and I can imagine your voices and all of that. Believe it or not, all of that really, really helps just make this feel real when you're on here for, over nearly 8 hours. I'm gonna be here streaming right now, staring into a camera. And so sometimes it just makes it feel better when I know who's watching. It really, really does. Thank you, Joe. All right. We got Michael Dominguez here who says, I went. Bummer you didn't show. It was amazing. Thank you, Michael. I'm so glad that you had a chance to go to the show. I know that's been one of the questions I get asked all the time. I got it asked 100 times when I wasn't at WrestleMania, but I was in Las Vegas. But truthfully, guys, my channel is my number one priority. And my priority is to grow this channel. And the best way to grow this channel is by being on the channel. So I always like to watch the shows here from the comfort of my own home because I get to do my reactions. I get to do my review. I get to stream on here for nearly 8 hours at this point. And so all of that just makes it much more worth it. Even though I do enjoy going to shows, I always have this feeling of, damn, I need to get home and do all of these things that I would normally be doing already. So it is a little bit more work for me going to the shows than it is doing the shows and watching the shows from home. Also, I like to sit in a view where I can actually see everything and I don't miss anything. So that's always nice too. Thank you, Michael. But I'm glad you really had a great time because being at the show when you don't got to work, million times better. Yatik Sahu also became a brand new member, so welcome to Yatik Sahu as well. All right, guys, so that is pretty much our show for today. That was AEW All In 2025 review. After this, I'm gonna go finish watching Saturday night's main event. I watched this last hour. I haven't seen the first hour yet, though, so I still got to do that. So keep an eye out for that review as well at some point. And then tomorrow, I will be live streaming Evolution as well. So there's just there's a lot happening right now, guys. It's madness. But first things first is I gotta go get dinner. But again, please do not forget to check out mybookie.ag, everybody. If you want to start betting on pro wrestling, on MMA, on MLB, on the NFL, on all of that stuff, MyBookie is now the place to be. mybookie.ag. Make sure you use that promo code Denise. And right now you still have a chance to go and enter for Evolution because Evolution is still currently open where you can actually make some money on that. So go do that. Head on over there, go to MyBookie and enter that promo code Denise. Oh shit, guys, my voice is going already. It's going. All right. Before I leave everybody, the last thing that I need to say is head on over to the Instagram @ Denise Salcedo. Give a follow. I'm posting all of the clips and reaction clips. I'm going to be posting videos as well on Patreon from All In, from the watch along. I will be posting videos there too. And then if you haven't heard the news already, I have officially joined Blue Wire is now the home of my podcast, meaning they will be helping me grow my podcast. I could not be more excited to grow Instinct Culture. So please, if you haven't already, go over to the Spotify page, go over to the Apple Pods page, and make sure that you guys follow the podcast. Search Instinct Culture by Denise Salcedo, or just type in Denise Salcedo on any of those podcasts, and you will, on those podcast networks, and you will find my podcast. And so click the follow button and listen to a couple of episodes. It helps out a whole lot.